Okay, welcome. It is a Thursday, May 21st, as the Modern Eater Show continues. Beautiful 73 degrees out there on a spring day, and everybody's ready to get back at it. Patios and good weather, and just trying to get back to some kind of normal life. Greg Hollenbach and Jay Parker on the ones and twos. What's going on, Jay?
It's warm outside. It almost feels normal.
Busy day in the news. Great American Beer Festival cancels its in-person Denver Fest. And they're talking about will become an online experience. How are they going to do that? We'll have the Brewers Association president and CEO Bob Pease on with us tomorrow. So look forward to that. The Voice of Colorado Culinary, we're just trying to keep people connected with all the latest industry information and interviews. Got a big show for you. First, I wanted to tell you that the Old Chicago's on Colorado Boulevard. It shutters its doors. It's closed down and will not be reopening. Lease negotiations. So we're going to try and check in with them as well. And, you know, you heard so many things about what will the attrition look like as restaurants and bars everywhere struggle to maintain any sort of footing at all and just come out on the other side. Hurry up and wait. On today's show, we will talk about the reopening guidelines. The governor is set to have an industry talk at 2:30. We'll see if we can't peek in on that Zoom call as well. Scheduled on the show, Rebecca Berry, Hot Schedules powered by Fourth at 2:30, along with Steve Chevalier from Cloudbreak Advisory. We're going to talk about those reopening guidelines, and we're also going to open up the Zoom call for folks to join us as well. So if you got a comment or just want to sound off at 2:30, that's what we're going to dig into. 3:15, Rich O'Brien from Elevation Foodservice Reps. We're going to talk about what your parking lots and your sidewalks and your expansion of your patios as we move forward, and how can you provide the best service possible and make sure the best quality of food is coming out to your guests. 3:45, Larry Herz from OCN Eats will join us, but right now, she's the gal of the hour. We love to catch up with her. Her name's Kendra Anderson. She's known as the Swirl Girl, and she is in her native land right now at Bar Helix, and we have to welcome you to the stream. Welcome, Kendra. How are you?
Hey, guys. How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, I know. Good to see you, too. Obviously, we look behind you, and our heart breaks as we go, boy, beautiful spring day. That place, people in and out. You'd have your patio going, and here's the world that we live in right now, Kendra. Take a second to talk about yourself and Bar Helix, how long you've been around, and then I'd love to dig in and talk about business and entrepreneurship and what it's been taking for you to survive and keep your dream alive down there at Bar Helix.
Well, I'm sure no one would be surprised to hear that it's been pretty challenging. We closed our doors on March 16th, along with all of the rest of the bars and restaurants in Denver. And, it took about a week for us to sort of grapple with what our choices were, one of which being that we didn't know if we could just do food, given that the majority of our guests were really coming to Bar Helix to enjoy cocktails. Thankfully, the governor and the city of Denver changed the liquor law that allowed us to be able to offer takeout cocktails and wine. And as soon as I got the word that that was going to be legal, we immediately started to do that type of an operation just the very next week. So we are in week 8 of takeout business.
Week 8, can you believe it? And here we are right now. I'd like to do something and kind of, hopefully you'll be able to hear it, but it struck me as I look through. First of all, you have a fabulous website and everything that you need to know about what's going on with Bar Helix. But you get a lot of accolades, too, and you have some very cool produced videos that you have here. In February of 2020, you released a video that's about, 2.5 minutes long. I think it'll resonate with us a little bit of this is pre-coronavirus. This is Kendra kind of catching your stride and going into full steam and really reflecting on what the business is to you. With your permission, I'd like to play a little bit of that video and then have a conversation of what resonated with us after watching.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
I can't begin to tell you how incredible it feels to do exactly what you want, to literally be living your dream every day. Like, people can only hope they get a chance to do something they feel so committed about. And I wanted it to be the type of place that when you walked in the door, you were struck by it and it made you feel special as well. I knew I wanted to do a lot with the interior that we talk about with our menu, right? It has some luxurious touches and high-end finishes, but then we have bare cement floors, exposed ceiling and ductwork. There's graffiti, which for me is very appropriate. I'm from New York City originally, and of course it wouldn't be Rhino without all the amazing art and the tags that we see everywhere. Every night we have every walk of life come through the door, and I love being part of what is obviously an exploding neighborhood, but people matter. Your people, my people, they're everything to me and to this business, and I could not do this without them. So it's important to really make sure that, you know, I take care of my people, that we find great people that will take good care of our guests, and that we focus on making sure that we all feel good when we come to work every day. Well, I'm proud to say that we are one of only 2 dedicated Negroni craft cocktail bars in the whole United States. Right now, I would say maybe 85% of the guests that come into our bar do not know what a Negroni is, and they have not had one. So for us to specialize in something that is a little unfamiliar is a bit risky, I would say, but at the same time, I think it dedicates our commitment, shows our dedication and our commitment to leading the edge. On Tuesdays, any Rhino resident or person who works here in Rhino has happy hour all night. Then we have a second happy hour from 8 to 10 p.m. every night, and we call that Negroni o'clock. That's when every one of our dozen Negroni variations is just $10. So yeah, you can definitely drink affordably here at Bar Helix.
Super cool video, and that's actually online if you want to check it out. I'd go to your website, obviously. Okay, were you able to hear that, Kendra? I'm sure you were. You lived it.
Yeah.
Anything jump out at you right there, as this was February, right?
Yeah, right as it was coming to the end, I heard myself talking about the 2 nightly happy hours that we had, and I was just thinking, yeah, we used to have happy hours. Yeah, so it's a little bit bittersweet for sure. We're doing what we know we need to do and what's best for the safety of our staff and our guests, but obviously it's difficult to, go through a closure, and when I worked kind of my whole adult life to be able to do this, and to see it close through no fault of my own is obviously disappointing.
Absolutely. And as we hope to everybody hang on, you've been in the business for a spell, right? You love the business. You're married to it.
I do.
Here we are, and to lament and just to cry over spilt milk's going to get us nowhere. But on the entrepreneurship side of this, and the small business person, and being in this business with such small margins as it is, it's hard enough to hang on just on a normal day, right? Just with normal footing. And the first thing that you talked about was living your dream, right?
Right.
What do you see right now? What's keeping you hopeful right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I think what's keeping me hopeful is probably the thing that upset me the most when we were told we had to close down. And that was really keeping the spirit of the business alive from the standpoint of the little family that we had created here at Bar Helix. I just have a team of incredible people and rock stars that work with me. And I didn't realize how much I would miss them, and how much my life revolved around their lives and the lives that we created together, in the sense of running the bar every night. And so when that nightly demand kind of came to a halt so abruptly, it was really tough for me. And so being able to do takeout has been good from the standpoint of I've been able to partially employ a couple of the people on my staff, so making sure that they've got their livelihoods looked after, and as well just the constant kind of creative energy that running a small business takes. So that's kind of the upside, is that hasn't been lost altogether, where it would have been if we had closed down altogether,
Absolutely. You are very experience-driven. You love to provide an experience for your guests. I mean, that's truly what Bar Helix is all about. What do you do when you want your cocktails in front of your guests? You're putting to-go cocktails together to the best of your ability. You're trying to create that experience. On that pivot or shifting point that you're trying to do here, are you constantly thinking of how that experience is going to happen for your guest, or are you just putting that on hold and saying, you know what, this is not an experience for any of us right now? Where's your mindset with that?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think in the first few weeks of doing takeout, we were focused on making sure that our menu offerings really just kind of gave people what they wanted. Everyone was super stressed out. I think they wanted things that were familiar to them. So my main focus was just making sure the drinks were tasty, priced appropriately, and delivered their intent, right? Which is to kind of maybe help take the edge off a little bit of some of the stress that we're all experiencing. And then a few weeks ago, we started to get more creative. I think we felt like we did want to still offer some kind of an experience. And so we offered now some virtual cocktail classes, virtual wine tasting. We have done a DJ experience where guests logged into a Zoom and kind of could drink Bar Helix cocktails while they listened to one of our favorite DJs. So for sure, it was important for us to start to think about how we could make sure we weave back in that element of an experience.
Your interior is just so gorgeous in there, and it's a shame that people they can't really get back to that. But I am I'm positive with every fiber in my being, you're getting yourself ready. You're probably even adding to the coolness and collection. Would you mind just walking us around the restaurant real quick and giving us a little?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on this way.
Yeah, this is Kendra's flavor. There's so much personality of yours in this restaurant. It's ridiculous. I love it so much.
So we've had to kind of switch up the back bar. A takeout operation is obviously completely different than a stay inside experience. Took us a few weeks to get everything sorted out, but now we've got a pretty cool layout. These are all bottles that we use to put in the large format takeout cocktails, as well as the smaller format. This size is what we use for a 4 cocktail takeout bottle. You can see here we've got our necessary liquor license warning sticker that says you're not allowed to drink it while you're walking or driving. And then if you come this way, we don't use the well the way we used to, right? So normally we would have guests sitting at the bar or at tables outside of the bar, and we would be making the drinks right here in front of them. So instead, we now have a pretty simple well set up where we can easily get our takeout cocktails quickly ready to go. We're using online ordering, which has been really helpful. So people schedule in advance when they're planning to come and pick up their orders. So we get everything ready to go. So here is one of the large format. This serves 8 cocktails, or if you're having a tough day, less than that for sure. This is one of our pre-mixed Negroni cocktails. And then again, this is the smaller, so half the size, 16 ounces. Another Negroni, this is the white Negroni called Fully Cocked. And then everything comes with party mix because that's part of the liquor licensing requirement. Every alcohol sale has to include food. So we have a really yummy, spicy, sweet party mix called Peas Nuts. And so that comes with all of the drink orders. Everybody gets a nice little bag, garnish. And then kind of one thing we've gotten some super cool feedback on are our custom ice spheres. So we partner with a really amazing company here in Denver. It's called Ice Cubed of Denver. It's run by a gentleman named Ian Kunter. And I'll tell you what, he is one of my favorite humans because I called him the first day we were thinking of doing cocktails and said, hey, I'm sure you're busy or you're doing stuff, but I wonder if you would be able to pre-package the spheres for us so that we could put them in our to-go bags. And not only did he say yes, I think he brought us some that day, like an hour later. And he's been super responsive as we've gone through this with up and down sales days. It just goes to show you that, like all entrepreneurs, when kind of the going gets rough, we got to just figure it out. So cheers and shout out to Ian at Ice Cube.
Awesome. Got to get him on the show.
Yeah, I just wrote that down. You said Ice Cubes of Denver, Ian Kunter.
Ice Cubed.
Ice Cubed of Denver.
Yep.
Thank you.
So he's just great. He's awesome. You should, because I don't think he does a ton of bar clients, and hopefully he could get some more business. I would love that for him.
Great.
Yeah. Very cocktail forward bar, obviously. No beer, right?
Yep. Well, we do have beer. We never had a tap system. We didn't have the space for it. So actually our kitchen manager, Sam Barraza, he actually took over and made an amazing beer program for us that featured all sorts of interesting craft beers that were not available really in Denver versus kind of the same old choices that you would have, especially here in Rhino, right? There's a ton of beer producers. And so we thought we would kind of go a different route with it. But what we did do in this kind of pivot part of the closure was to really ramp up our food menu, which I think our food was always amazing. Definitely sexy bar snack food that we got great feedback on. Didn't really seem to make sense though for, the COVID closure when people were wanting comfort food and more familiar items. And so the team and I worked hard to create a menu that made more sense for, groups or families, things like baked ziti. We did a jambalaya for a while. And probably the most successful thing we've done food-wise has been what we call our Helix Smokeout. And that has been kind of a rotating feature of different proteins, but amazing smoked ribs, smoked pork shoulder, chicken, and especially even for today, we're launching smoked chicken wings. So just tons of creativity in the face of, a humongous challenge that none of us were expecting.
That's right. And, let's face it, you've always been up for a challenge, right? The odds have always been stacked against me in life, and I kind of like that because, it's like, okay, I'll show you. I put up a poll on the stream right now, and it says, can a restaurant or bar offer an experience right now? 5 people say yes, 2 people say no in its early stages. And I think
that's very similar to what we've seen. We are actually located in the ground floor of an apartment complex. And we thought, well, shoot, people are stuck at home. That's going to be an audience of people who would love to have an experience with us because they're right upstairs. And we still have really seen a lot of people who just want their drink. They just want to pick up their takeout drinks and get back to their homes. And I don't blame them. People have a lot on their minds right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Catching up with Kendra Anderson right now, and a pleasure to catch her because she's just a very smart and savvy business gal, and she's been in the business for quite some time. And Swirl Girl, Bar Helix. Helix is like a spiral, right? Isn't that like a corkscrew?
It is. Yep, that's probably one of the questions we got asked the most in terms of what the story behind the bar was. And so the name of a corkscrew, the shape that is a corkscrew, the real name of that is actually a helix.
Talk about.
I was a sommelier for many years and worked in the wine business, and I actually originally thought we would be sort of more of a wine bar than a cocktail bar, and I was wrong. That's okay, because obviously I love Negroni cocktails too, so happy ending for everyone.
People say Negroni. What's a Negroni, Kendra?
I know.
Why'd you get?
I still don't know.
That's the number one question we've been asked. So a Negroni is a classic Italian cocktail invented in 1919. It features equal parts Campari, which is a bitter orange aperitivo, sweet vermouth, and gin. So no matter how many ounces you use, you can make a giant cocktail or a small cocktail. Just use the same amount of each of those 3 ingredients, and you will end up with a Negroni.
Nice. I have you've probably seen it floating around, the Negroni T-shirt. Shows you the Negroni family.
I have quite a Negroni themed attire in my wardrobe going on right now.
Do you
so.
really? Going back to that video, I want to touch on one thing, and it's very important to you, and you mentioned it. People in your community, people around you, putting good people around you. And, I'm guessing like everybody else, you had to furlough folks. Heartbreaking. Where are you with people? And just give us an idea of what that still means to you.
Well, as I mentioned, probably the most upsetting thing about having to close our doors was having to, make the phone call or to my team and say, hey guys, I'm sorry to tell you that, we're going to have to be closed and I'm not going to be able to continue to have you working with us. And that was the most difficult day I think I've ever had in my professional career. Just because these people really do feel like my family, and you spend more time with your staff than you spend with your own family and friends. I certainly know that was true for me the last 3 years. And so I'm very attached to my team, and I care about them and I worry about them. And some of the folks on our team, are on the younger side. I know for sure they've probably not only not been through this, because of course none of us have, but maybe nothing even this stressful, right, in their adult lives, having to navigate paperwork and articles that are coming out talking about a global pandemic. I mean, lots of people here don't live near their families, so they didn't have that support system. So I felt very responsible for helping them try to get through the process as best I could. We packed up all our food and gave it to the team. I gave booze. Like I couldn't not do that. I felt like I needed to just prepare them and try to comfort them in some small way in the middle of what was the most nightmarish thing I think any of us could have imagined.
How about the community of folks that support you? Have you seen that to be positive?
So positive. So just on my team still, like I mentioned, I've been able to have 2 people come back to help run the takeout business. And really, when I say run the takeout business, it's important to understand that means we created a new business because we had never done takeout and we had never sold the food we had sold. And it takes a village, and I mean that not, anecdotally, I mean that for real. Like, we all had to put our heads together and work around the clock to essentially stand up a new business model in a matter of days and then continue to evolve it based on the responses that we were getting from our guests. If something doesn't sell, you don't have a lot of time to see if you should leave it on or change the price. You've got to really act quickly because, every day counts when you're not open to serve your normal volume of guests. So the 2 people that I have here with me, working this new business, Christine is my operations manager, and as I mentioned, Sam is my kitchen manager. I mean, all we do is work and collaborate and partner and create. And it's been the hugest difference in, I think, being even kind of successful. And I'm using quotes because, of course, doing 10% of your normal sales volume is by no means a success. But it's positive in the sense that we've been able to stay in the community, continue to offer something to our guests and to our friends. And then I think more importantly, keep ourselves, motivated. And know that we are just hopefully in a temporary space and that we're moving toward the new normal, whatever that is. But being able to kind of do something in the interim, I know helped me a lot, and I think it helped them too.
So well said, Kendra. Thanks for taking the time with us. I know we're going to make a drink with you here shortly.
Aperol, spritz, shaved ice. It's funny that's what we're going to show you today because it's a perfect example of what I was mentioning when I said not only launching a new business model, but new products, how you execute those products. I think we did shaved ice one time for a week, for Negroni Week, like 2 years ago. And honestly, I was just seeing that we were going to have a string of hot weather a few weeks ago. And I just was, kind of brainstorming in my own mind, like, what could we do that we might get a nice response from? And so I talked with my team and I went home and I tinkered around with the recipe. And I was like, all right, we're going to try it. Throw Aperol Spritz shaved ice on the menu, see what happens. And it has been really, really popular, much to mine, and I'm sure everyone else is surprised. People seem to love it. It's just, I think more than the fact that it's a delicious drink, it's just so cheerful. Like, it's a pretty bright color, and it's bubbly, and it's cold. Kind of makes you feel like a kid a little bit. That's how I felt when I'm drinking it, and I just feel like that's what we all need right now. Everybody needs a reason to kind of smile and feel a little bit perked up. So Christine is just going to come over here and make us one of these delicious shaved ices. And now I actually, Greg, I know you said that maybe I should do a shot of tequila before we started the show. I guess now I'm going to get to have a cocktail. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we'll just, I'm going to let you watch Christine do her thing.
Hey, big props to Chef Sam, who turns out is a great chef and a great cameraman.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. Great.
And I've been drooling over some of the photos of the barbecue that you guys are putting out there, too.
Oh, my God. So good. The smoked pork is probably my favorite just because I love pulled pork. I had a catering business for about 8 years, and a lot of the recipes that we're using now are rooted in some of the things I used to do, and it's amazing how quickly some of those things come back. I mean, I hadn't made barbecue sauce in quite some time, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we're figuring out barbecue sauce. So
that's cool.
So we have a shaved ice machine. It's pretty simple. And all you do is put your ice cubes in it and press down on it, and it comes out with this really nice kind of fluffy little cup full of shaved ice. And then we just kind of top it with a pre-mix of Aperol and sparkling wine. So when you have a normal Aperol spritz, it's about 2 ounces of Aperol, 3 ounces of sparkling wine, usually Prosecco, and a little splash of soda water. Our recipe is a little different because I thought nobody needs water in their drink right now. Let's just go ahead and keep it 100% alcohol. So it's just Aperol and sparkling wine. So we make a little mix of it and then combine it or pour it over the ice. And then we top the whole concoction with even more sparkling wine, just so we have that really feels like you're drinking an Aperol spritz, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super. Have you guys ever had an Aperol spritz?
No, and I'm dying
Oh, wow.
right now. I need to
I know
get in on
you don't
this.
drink, but yeah, if you were drinking, then it's so refreshing. So Aperol is actually the sweeter little sister of Campari, which is pretty bitter orange flavor. Aperol is about half as bitter, I would say, and also has less alcohol. So I like to think it makes it very appropriate for day drinking.
Yeah.
And that's when I usually drink Aperol spritz. So if I go to brunch or if I'm just hanging out at home, I would make myself an Aperol spritz. And so when it's this warm outside, I just felt like having it over shaved ice would be even more delicious. So
I guess I'd probably just ask for a soda water spritz with a lime, but the ice would still be fun to
I tell you
eat.
what we could do. I can't give you a soda water spritz. Like, that just kills me. We can make you a mocktail spritz.
That's
We
all
have
right.
tons of mocktails on our menu, and we always have. So there is no reason that you could not actually enjoy a delicious shaved ice that had no booze in it. So,
Love it.
thank you, Christine. I'm so happy. Look, so now.
Perfect. That's what I want to
So
see.
good.
And between me and you, get one of those, and as I wink to the camera, hurry home with it, right?
Yeah, right?
Hurry home if it would make it. I don't know. Okay.
Super refreshing.
So and just a couple more for you, and I know you got to get going here, but I do want to talk to you about the reopening and what your plans are. Are you going to kind of ease into things, or do you have a plan of reopening?
Yeah.
What's it going to look like? And then have you asked for any kind of revisions for patio space or more or what? Kind of just give us the rundown, if you will.
All of the above. I've been joking with my team and some of my friends about how shockingly busy I've been, given the fact that we have not been open for normal operations. And that's because, as I mentioned, obviously just running the takeout business, but at the same time, pretty much every other day there have been news reports, press conferences, government directions coming out about what reopening could look like. So really just in the last 7 days, I would say, there's been quite a flurry of activity coming from the governor and from the city of Denver in support of a reopening. And while we don't have an official date, there's been nothing announced as far as when we can legally reopen. Everyone seems to think that the governor is going to make a decision here in the next few days. And then that would simply be the decision that yes or no, we can or cannot reopen. And if we can, what's the date for that? So I'm not sure how many people have worked in the industry before who are watching, but it takes a minute, right? So if they're going to tell us you have to have your tables placed 8 feet apart, or you have to have so many steps for sanitization, or all these different guidelines. So as a business owner, then I'm going to have to take all of that information in and write all new procedures and write a floor plan and buy new furniture. I mean, there is a million things to do to be able to get ready to reopen. And so my thought was the concept that Bar Helix didn't feel like it fit in this kind of new reality we're in. I just didn't see my cozy little sexy dark bar making a lot of sense when I think people more than anything want to be outside, feeling like they've got more space and fresh air. And so we've been working hard on a slightly different, it's actually very different version of Bar Helix. And I can't give you too many details, but I think it's going to be amazing. Think of it as Bar Helix's kind of sassy younger sister going on summer vacation. So that's the way we've been positioning it. So it's basically going to be like a summer-long pop-up that is not Bar Helix, but has a lot of things in common with Bar Helix. And yeah, I mean, we are working now around the clock to get ready for that.
So that has to do with outdoor space then.
Yep. Yeah. So the premium thing is going to be how much space do you have on your patio, and then how many tables can you fit on it if you have to keep 8 feet of distance between each table. So it's a lot of Jenga. It's a lot of kind of mental stamina. That's why I need this drink right now.
I get it. There's no way you can walk outside and show us where maybe you're looking to expand to, or
it's a bit crazy out on the patio, but I will show you that we have an amazing walk-up bar. Do you want to see that?
Yeah, I do want to see
Yeah.
that. Thanks for the time, Kendra.
Contact-free takeout counter.
Cool.
And then I bought this bar cart actually before I opened the bar. And I took it up to Aspen Food and Wine when I was launching Bar Helix 4 years ago. And so I purchased this bar. It was custom designed for me. I'm not sure how much all you can see, but basically I have 4 taps here.
Awesome.
That I have carboys underneath that can hold about 600 cocktails. So they are underneath, and then you've got a nice bar top up here, so guests can kind of walk right up, get their drink. There's an ice caddy. It's perfect.
Man, that is so trick.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And it's sad because it hasn't always gotten a ton of use, right? We have it in the summer, and we've taken it to some events.
Uh-huh.
But we were sitting around the other day, and actually a friend of mine was like, why don't you put the bar out on the patio so people can see it? And we were like, oh, my God. Why don't we?
Yeah, it's the Wild West.
We did, and it really changed everything. Yeah, people started seeing it as they were walking down Larimer and coming up and starting to order more of the takeout cocktails, so it was pretty helpful.
I'm glad we checked in. I wanted to catch up with you, and sorry we were such a nuisance. We've been calling you, and Kendra, come on the stream.
That's okay. I felt so badly. My phone and email are off the hook. I know I'm not alone in that, but it's been pretty tough to keep up with all the stuff that's going on.
And whatever you're doing, I don't know how you do it, but you've just stayed 21 forever, and you look fantastic.
It's for sure all the champagne. It's all the champagne and Aperol.
Whatever you're doing keep doing it, and share the recipe. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for letting us check in, and we'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Hey, when you get back, hold on. When you get back open, we'd love to come down and do a broadcast from the patio when when the dust settles a little bit.
Yeah,
you know,
show what you're doing
and promote that you're back open. And all that stuff.
Well, we are planning a VIP launch party. Funny you should bring it up. So as soon as we know the date, you will be on the list.
Love it.
Thanks, Kendra.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
From Bar Helix, there she is, Kendra Anderson, and that's fantastic to be able to see. She's just really an inspiring, strong woman in our community that does so much.
Okay. Hey, I want to play a commercial.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then we're going to come back and talk to Rebecca Berry from Fourth.
Okay.
First, we partner with the best farmers in the world, and then we tell them, we will take it all. Process whole spices daily, blend custom spices to order, keep it fresh, safe, and flavorful, all so that you can get back to doing what you do best. So whether you're a restaurant, a food manufacturer, or an at-home cook, be sure to visit The Spice Guy at www.thespiceguyco.com.
Okay, we're back. Thanks. I'll bet you that was the Spice Guy, right?
That was the Spice Guy.
And the Spice Guy, it's all of your barbecue needs. Which one was that? Oh, that's where he buys everything. He buys every spice in the world. If you want spices, the only guy who has them is the Spice Guy. That would be the good commercial right now. All right, right now joining us on the stream, this is a cool one. I think the governor is actually speaking to folks in the restaurant industry right now on a private call. I'm not 1,000% sure, but there probably are some new details coming out. As yesterday it came down the pipe, and it's the new guidelines, and it's just a draft. They're wanting feedback, and feedback will give them. Going to the stream right now, she's my friend and yours from HotSchedules powered by Force. We have to say good afternoon to Rebecca Berry.
Hey guys, how's it going today?
It's going good. Good to see you. And
always a pleasure.
And then Steve Chevalier joins us from Cloudbreak Advisory. Good to see you again. We had a kind of an interrupted meeting the other day.
Yeah, we'll see if we can keep it going this time.
Yes, let's keep it going. We're going to have a good conversation. Before that, you guys, congratulations. Somehow, Rebecca Berry, you get in on news articles and news pieces all the time because you're everywhere.
Well, thank you. You know, it's our community. I have to say it's nothing special I'm doing. It's the people that are in our industry, and we're incredibly fortunate that we're all open to helping each other. And I think that's the biggest piece of it is everyone wants everybody to be successful and thrive right now.
Don't underestimate yourself, Rebecca. You're around good people because we love you. All right, here's this piece. It's from Fox 31. I think it's a good watch. So we'll watch this, and then we'll jump into some good conversation. Also, for the first time ever, I don't know if you guys saw it, but we put a link. See the Zoom call that these guys are in right now? If you're watching the stream and you want to jump in on this call, we'll put you in the waiting room. But if it makes sense and you've got a comment about the reopening guidelines or anything that you hear, we'll get you in on the conversation like any good talk show would do, right? First time ever. We'll give that a shot.
Right. Just have something a little bit more interesting than what I talk about.
And don't move.
It's like if you think in your head, oh, that's something Jay would say, don't join the link. Think of something Greg would say, you join the link.
Here's the Fox 31 piece right here.
At 5280 Burger Bar, the kitchen's still cooking. Customers are still enjoying signature burgers, but the satisfaction's just not the same for the people running the place.
I want the noise, I want the energy, I want that give back of emotion that restaurants are built on.
Before opening up for that good energy, Todd Levick wants to bring in consultants to consider the new safety foundation he's laying out.
Tell me a little bit about what the employee screening process looks like.
Before getting to the kitchen, 5280 Burger Bar has employees checking their temperatures and logging them.
If they test out of range, we'll test them again. If they test out of range again, we'll ask them to go home.
Once they make it through the metal doors, the team's trying to keep a respectful distance, dressed in masks and gloves constantly.
Sometimes gloves can provide a false sense of security for employees, and they might not wash their hands as often. How are you overcoming that difficulty?
A timer that goes off every 30 minutes. And everybody has to, at some point, within the next few minutes, utilize the sink, wash their hands, change their gloves.
Yep. And
clean and sanitize their station.
Sanitizing is going to be a big part of the chef and server's new job descriptions, and consultants say that'll be a factor to consider when rehiring people back.
Dedicating your staff to being a sanitation team and then being, a food team, whatever that may look like.
How many customers and staff can be around for this new dining experience will depend on state and city rules. Colorado's planning to release final guidelines on Monday.
So I'm not as worried about what that percentage is in the beginning. If that's what it takes to be safe, if that's what the guests are looking for us, then we're more than happy to do that, and we'll open immediately. We can't wait to actually fill the seats, whatever seats we're allowed to have.
Nicole Fierro reporting.
Okay, that was a cool piece, and these guys are joined with us right now. So, Rebecca and Steve, first of all, Steve, what does Cloudbreak Advisory do for folks?
So we're a food safety consulting company. Can come in around this COVID reopening time to help provide some risk assessment and get you up and running as fast as possible. Also do food safety education through like Serve Safe education courses too.
Awesome. Rebecca, what does HotSchedules Powered by Fourth do?
Well, Greg, you can see my Wheel of Fortune behind us. We are an IRS certified PEO company, so we co-employ to help mitigate any risk when it comes to workers' comp, when it comes to unemployment claims, lawsuits, but also containing tax costs as well. But we also do everything from hire to fire. So your onboarding, your applicant tracking, your scheduling, we really are the full gamut. And partnered now with Steve, we really have the health and safety leading into the HR and employee and employer experience.
And that's the 1-2 punch right here. This is good stuff. All right, we're going to dig in, you guys. And again, if you're on the stream and you want to take part in this conversation, first time ever, we published the link to the Zoom room in the description. So just hit that link in the description. You'll be in the waiting room until Jay's the gatekeeper. We've got a poll on the stream right now as well, and that's really what we're going to try and shoot for as we reboot these restaurants and bars here in Colorado. The poll reads, can a restaurant or bar offer an experience right now? 18 folks say yes, and 8 say no. I think that's a cool split right there, that people think that an experience can still happen inside of a restaurant, even with all the weirdness that's going on. We'll just go around. Steve, what do you think?
The restaurant that we were in earlier this week, 5280, they're starting to set up their tables, how they're expecting the requirements to lay out. And it still felt like an inviting, a warm atmosphere. And it really comes down to the people that are running the place too, and driving that force. Because if I were to bring my family there, I'd have a great time, and I'd be looking forward to going back again. So I think it's all in the energy that you put behind it. I think it comes through that way.
Even more important than food, I think the experience is going to win out on people being comfortable going out and feeling safe. And at the end of the day, I think that it goes all to one thing: is optics. What are people seeing? And those important things. Rebecca, what do you say as far as optics goes? What are people looking for from the consumer standpoint?
They're going to be looking for signs that recognize that we need to be safe, that we need to be washing hands, things need to be wiped down. They're going to be looking for disposable items, how far away tables are placed, how the seating arrangement is, and the cleanliness all around. You get kitchens, too, that have that open kitchen area to look into, and there's a comfort seeing people spaced out in that kitchen area. So you want to ensure your prep cooks are coming in earlier, your cleaning people are coming in off times. So it's that visual optic of just safety and awareness as a whole when you walk in.
Yeah, Steve?
Yeah, like Rebecca said, people are going to be paying attention to those visual cues, especially around hand washing and glove use. And like Rebecca said, too, with physical distancing. That's the things they're going to cue into. And if they're unwary in the first place and not really sure of the situation, if they see something out of place, the chance of them coming back again during this period might be slim. So the more effort that you put behind understanding what the requirements are once they do get finalized, I think the more that customers will be comfortable coming back.
I'm assuming some folks were asking them to reach out to you, and when they reach out to you, where do you take them? I'm sure it's just you listen to their needs and what they're at, but take me through what that would look like.
Yeah, so I try to understand the context of their operation, what the flow looks like, how many employees they have. Like Rebecca was mentioning earlier, if they're going to have prep cooks that come in the morning, what those different shifts look like. And that all goes into the risk assessment process that I'd be pulling them through and getting feedback from not only the owners and the managers, but also the employees at the restaurants too, because sometimes they know better than even the owners on how things operate and how things flow, and they can give great feedback in terms of like what are some high touch points, what are some areas that we can eliminate, so we don't have to think about controlling some of the spread in those areas because we can just eliminate them. And then also thinking about reducing menu sizes, reducing the amount of food that we're offering, keeping things simple at first will help, again, to put some really easy controls into place and not have to think about everything all at once. You can kind of ease yourself back into normal operations, whatever normal will be moving forward.
It's interesting as we talk about sanitation and people applying for variances to open up the streets and sidewalks and parking lots and what outdoor dining and cafes. Seems to me like outside of that controlled environment, sanitation is going to be an even larger challenge. Say you're in the street somewhere or a parking lot where someone could have relieved themselves. I mean, that's real life stuff. Maintaining sanitation outside of your indoor dining. Is there any talk on things that will need to be happening outside as far as sanitation?
Other than the deep cleaning, the deep sanitizing that will need to take place between parties, in terms of what the draft requirements are showing, no. Certainly there's going to be more pest issues too, flies and rodents. So like the cleaning is really going to be important so you're not attracting those nuisances in the first place. But also this is another cue that customers are going to be looking at. Is the cleanliness of the area, and then actually watching employees wipe down tables, wipe down chairs, or any shared objects, if there are any on the tables, to make sure that they're going to be safe when they sit down outside. But you bring up a good point. There's some uncontrollable things outside. And maybe that's something that customers are going to start to become more comfortable with. Alternatively, you've got all the ventilation outside that you could even dream of, right? Because you've got airflow through those spaces, whereas inside, even if you've got some high efficiency filters on the HVAC systems, you still have that turnaround on the air on the inside too. So eating outside, maybe it's better for some things and maybe it's not for others. It's a trade-off.
Yeah, I wonder. Again, we talked about. Oh, I'm getting good feedback. Is that whose background is that? I'm wondering from. So I'm wondering, and again, as we talk about all optics and what's happening for a disease that's airborne and spreads. Optics of being outdoors, I think fine, but if you think about spread, you've got more opportunity with spread outdoors because it carries and it can't carry and people can go by. So I'm not so sure the outdoors is the solution, but it sounds good in theory because, you're in the great outdoors. But with an airborne disease, I think you run just as much chance for spread indoors or outdoors. But again, people feel safer outdoors. Do you guys mind if we go through some of the guidelines or guidance that, and let's just talk about what do you think is feasible? And again, it's a draft, so they're looking for feedback. Maybe we can put together some feedback right now. So here is from a restaurant and food service, indoor and outdoor on-premise dining. Minimum of 8 feet spacing between parties, table to table. 8 feet, not 6 feet anymore, but I think that's just going to allow for the chair to pop out, right? The 8 feet give you an extra foot so that there is true 6 foot spacing. That's going to be the deal now. How do you guys see it? Are you seeing in places like Central Park on the lawns, they're putting these big 6 foot circles. So stay out of my space. Here's your little circle. You go in there. You think we're going to see some of that type of thing, partitions and tapings, and what's that going to look like?
Rebecca, you want to take that one?
Sure. And I don't really have a good answer for that, Greg, to be honest, because I think it's all demographics, where you live, population, how you're condensed. In Colorado, we're fortunate enough that we are not a city of just block to block, back to back high rises. We have a lot of open parks and open space. But I do see it as they even discussed it on an article I read about Memorial Day with Boulder Creek, that they're congregating too close. There's too many people and they're going to start blocking stuff off. So, if we can't behave, and we have for the most part, I would say, I think it probably will start happening. And to touch on your 8 feet in between tables, I do agree. It's allowing room for the chair to pop back, but think about it, your server as well to walk through within contact of that space. So realistically, that's a 6 foot barrier. But if we can't be responsible adults, I see that possibly happening. Steve, what are your thoughts?
So the hardest thing that is going to be for restaurants to control is the customers. They can definitely control their employees to an extent. They can control the environment that they're putting the customers in, but necessarily controlling the customers is going to be tough. So like you were saying, Rebecca, having the expectation that we can all act like adults and follow the recommendations so we don't end up back where we started, that's going to be key.
Yeah, here it continues. All employees must wear facial coverings and gloves. For that, Jay, did someone try and hop in the Zoom? Are they standing by or did they take off?
No, I think they're in there, but I guess I should have been a little bit more explanatory as far as who are you and what do you want to say versus, there's a guy named Diego in there.
Can you do that?
We would probably have to.
I mean, I'm feeling crazy right now.
Think it through.
If somebody's got
I'll pop this dude in and see what's up. Yeah, Diego.
Hey, Diego. Right,
let's see what
so Diego has to say.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pop you over here and you just. Why don't you do this for me? Do Jeff Rourke right now. So while I do this.
Really?
Yeah. Come on.
Hard to do? All right, Jeff Rourke and A+ Beverage Solutions. We're on the stream right now talking about what safely reopening looks like, and really cool to have these guests here with us today. Steve is here with us from Cloudbreak Advisory, and Rebecca Berry from HotSchedules powered by Fourth, and Jeff Rourke from A Plus Beverage Solutions, owned and operated. It's a family business. Give them a call, 720-272-3809. Why are you going to give them a call? Because you want to get your draft lines cleaned out before you reopen.
That's right.
You get your. Why are you smiling like that?
Because Diego's gone. So
he's gone.
Yeah. Listen, man, this just
damn it,
Jeff
you would
Rourke.
have just got the guy in there. All right, clean those draft lines out. He can also add a line too. Now's the time to think about it. You get that PPP money in, you got to take care of some of these upgrades, and he can do that for you. Beer, wine, water, nitro, or coffee. Make your tap dreams reality. Foam is money. If you're pouring inefficient beer, what are you doing, you guys?
You're pouring your money down the
Pouring your money down the drain.
Don't pour your money down the drain. Get a hold of Jeff Rourke and A Plus Beverage Solutions. 720-272-3809. Diego, come back, man. I wanted to try this so much.
I'm sorry.
Can a restaurant or bar offer an experience right now? So far on the stream, we've got 20 yeses and 10 nos. I love seeing that.
I'd like to hear somebody from a no. The yes part, I think, is a little self-explanatory, and somebody already touched on it to where it's like it depends on the restaurant owner and what they do and the management, how they create the experience. But I want to hear somebody that just says no. They can't.
All right, well, you can jump in on the stream. We're doing an experiment today, and you're welcome, you guys. We're experimenting with you right now. If you want to comment on the reopening guidelines, you can jump in. The link is on the stream to this Zoom room right now. Don't crash the party, though. Well, unless you want to. I don't know. I'm not telling anybody what to do. Behave yourself.
Greg, quick question. Since you just said party, can I give a little shout out for a very special party today?
Yeah.
So I like to wish Jenna Jeffrey a very happy 11th birthday, and we have her birthday party tonight.
Aw.
Happy birthday, Jenna.
11 years old. You're growing up, girl.
I know, she's getting big.
Do they call that a tween yet? Is that a tween?
I don't know.
Like, what do you
get? Many terms going on.
What do you get an 11-year-old girl for a birthday?
I can't say that yet, because if she hears it, we haven't given her a gift yet.
Oh, okay.
Maybe tomorrow.
Isn't like 11-year-old this day and age is like 25 would have to be 25.
No,
well, mentally as far as how they now listen, don't take that weird.
You can email him jay@themoderneater.com. jay@themoderneater.com.
You know what I mean.
Okay, you guys, all employees must wear facial coverings and gloves. That we're going to see that, and we're going to see it for a while, right? And I think people are going to police that as well. You better have them on.
Yeah, that's easy to watch for, and that's something they should have been doing already for the delivery and takeout. So if restaurants are already open for that part, they should be used to that by now.
Here we go. Sanitization and deep cleaning of all shared surfaces in between seatings. That's one of those things I wish that would happen all the time, no matter what. I'm tired of sitting on somebody's French fry from the time before. But it shouldn't be too big of a deal. 30 seconds to sanitize the table and clean it down, and the chairs too, right?
It depends on the product you're using. Some of the products require a contact time between 1 to 2 minutes, so you have to let it set. It just depends on what you're using.
Set it and forget it then, huh?
No. And especially if you're using bleach, you don't really want to sit on a disinfectant level of bleach. It'll bleach out your clothes.
Here's one. I think this might be one of the biggest bones of contention right here. Limit party size to 6 people or less. What do you think, you guys? I have a family of 8.
Yeah. So what we talked about at our webinar today was that some parts of the state that had already applied for the safer at home variants we're doing a reduced capacity between 25 and 35%.
Be cognizant of, so many people want to get back into the restaurant that if you could only fit 35 in for capacity, you can't be the only party, but also where is that space? Maybe they have a private room that you can rent out, and that is kind of a loophole.
I was talking to Chef Preston yesterday. It was interesting. I was like, parties of 6? He's like, man, parties of 6 don't happen. It's either 4 or 5 or 7 or 8, but it's never 6. I thought that was pretty interesting. 8 seems to be like the reasonable spot, like the limit of 8. That's going to be interesting. I wonder if that one's going to stick. I think that one might get revised. I'm not sure. You can shelter in place at home with 10 people, can't you?
sure if they're part of your same family.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen, Jay here, and you know me, but I think that a lot of these guidelines for restaurants are going to be just that. They're going to be guidelines. And when we actually do open, so like you're saying, the party of 6 versus 8, you're going to have some restaurants that go, I only see 6 people, but there's 8, right? You're going to have other restaurants that are going to go, nope. You have too many, like this is the limit. But I think there's going to be a lot of gray area whether there should be or shouldn't be. And to Steve's point about people being responsible, not to mess it up for everybody about what's happening, but human nature dictates that there's going to be that gray strip down the middle to where some places are going to bend the rules, some places are not.
Yeah, guaranteed. All right, we go on with this. Make efforts to reduce congregating inside and outside the establishment, including encouraging reservations and preferably only utilizing a reservation system if feasible. That's probably going to be the way that it goes down is reservation systems, whether it's call into there or using an open table. How do you guys see that happening?
Oh, that's a tough one. It's interesting. Steve and I were speaking about a group that I'll let him dive into if he's comfortable in a minute. That essentially is like an open table for reservations where there's a surcharge. And we kind of went back and forth on that conversation of, do you want to pay a surcharge for reservations? Probably not. But if it's your significant other, your child, your best friend's birthday, and this is their favorite restaurant, maybe you're willing to do that. When I spoke with David Cash, who owns Smoky Rose in Dallas, and Texas has reopened, he said he's not doing reservations and he's not doing time limits because people are eating and drinking and he's getting revenue. So it's a catch-22. It's a really challenging topic until we see what truly happens in our capacity. I don't know how reservations are going to work. I mean, every restaurant will be booked, which is great, but
let's hope.
Just don't know how feasible that is.
Call your restaurant direct is where I would start, You got anything on that, Steve, or should I continue forge on to no communal seating?
You can keep going, yeah.
No communal seating. That's going to be an interesting thing. We checked in with a pizza place down in Colorado Springs. That's all they had was communal seating.
Can you, sorry, but define communal seating?
Well, it's you just long table and people sit down. Wherever you want, grab a seat.
So like a 4-top wouldn't fall on it. So you're talking like a banquet table
big,
or something
table.
like that.
Yeah. So no communal seating, no self-service stations or buffets. Buffets are a thing of the past. I can't even see that getting resurrected. You think?
Yeah.
Just put your hands.
I'm not a buffet fan, anyways. I think we know too much in food service a lot of times, so I'm not a big buffet fan.
Hey, listen, man, 30-cent crab legs at a casino are delicious.
No bar.
How's that food poisoning?
Yeah, that's right. Can I have a side of botulism with that? No bar seating if the bar is being used for food or beverage service. If not being used for service, then parties could sit there under the same requirements as a regular table. Now, that's confusing as hell to me. What if you have a bar of 10 seats there? Do you have to have space amount one every one, or can you be with a party of 6 and take 6 seats all in a line? And who's going to police that? Who would know the difference? Bar seating seems like that's going to be an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So going back to who's going to police this, who's going to police any of these requirements? The health department's not going to be able to be at all these places all at once, right? So the chances of them seeing something like that is probably minimal. When I would go into restaurants and do inspections for the health department, we would describe it as like a snapshot in time. So we may see something, we may not. So just to put that out there. Also with the bar seating, if you got a party of 6, then you need to have 6 or 8 feet on either side of them. And then if you're doing any kind of beverage service or food service at that bar, then you can't have that bar seating there unless you can somehow put up a barrier and define one spot for seating and then one spot for food service.
Boy, that's going to be interesting to see as we move forward and we talk about policing. here it is. I can't believe we set people out with their own devices to go out and make Yelp reviews. It's like that was too much salt for you because of your taste or whatever Yelp turned into. Right, this just junk place of people commiserating over their tastes. There's some place for that, but here it is. You're going to have some sort of variance of people going out just to take photos of people of things that they believe to be not responsible. That's what the police is going to. It's going to be the PC police that believe that here are the guidelines. The guidelines are rules. Steve, what do you see happening with social media and that type of thing?
So that's happening now. That's the health department is dealing with inundation of complaints around people not wearing face masks or people not using gloves. That's the stuff that they're trying to handle. In the amount of calls and emails that they're getting about it, it's taking away their focus from other more important things like tracking down people that are confirmed cases and to prevent the spread of disease. Social media is something that it's I guess a positive negative, right? Because we can get some information about what's going on out there, but it can also take away some of the resources that are needed.
That's what's going to be a trip. I can't wait to see how people operate because you could be in probably some of the best owner-operated restaurants who are doing everything dialed in perfectly, and you're going to get a snapshot in time where it's like, we haven't seen each other in so long, and we're all going to get together for 2 seconds to take a selfie of us all together with no masks on, and all of a sudden, that's your restaurant and how they're practicing the distancing inside of there.
Yeah, so to provide some more, record of what you're doing, just having written documentation, here's my plan. This is what I've laid out. These are the things that I'm requiring for my business based on the final requirements from the state. And you can say, I'm operating to this plan and I'm trying to control it as much as I can.
There's, as we continue into these guidelines, this draft that was given to us a day and a half ago clearly mark floors and ground for queuing spaces and foot traffic suggestions. The floors in the restaurants are going to look like the airport with the dotted lines, and here's where you go, and to the left and to the right, and a circle here, and don't stand there, and this is stations there. But everything's going to be taped up, isn't it?
I was thinking if you've ever taken a dance instruction class where they've got the arrows and the dotted lines on where to move around, that's going to be kind of how it is. But it's all for a reasonable cause. It's to try to maintain that separation, try to have some control over the spread of COVID.
Even the folks that go out with the best intentions just to contribute to society and be people that are, you throw libations in there and beer and a little bit of booze and stuff, all bets seem to turn off at that point. So alcohol is going to play a big role in dine-in services, and I'm just wondering if that's going to be more closely monitored to kind of cut off any misbehavior, I guess, going forward. Is alcohol a big concern in anybody's eyes?
Again, it's one of those things that I think we'll see at capacity, right? You're not going to have bars where everybody's packed in back to back at this point. And that's where kind of the HR guidelines come in on and consult your HR professionals. But if you see somebody who's overly intoxicated, you're technically not supposed to serve them. And I think just being more aware of that for public safety as a whole is going to be really ownership of the establishment and their employees.
Post clear signage notifying patrons and employees of hygiene and sanitization expectations, including not entering if they are experiencing any symptoms. Are restaurants going to look like just a full-on signage place of don't touch this, you can touch that, you can sit here, you can't sit there? There's going to be a lot of information. It's like you're going to take in a lot when you go into a restaurant.
Yeah, so I printed off a few from the CDC. They're really simple. They're quick to look at. You don't have to post it all over the restaurant. It just has to be visible to your customers and to your employees. These things you can put up like the time clock area, front door, just somewhere for your guests and your employees to see it.
All right, you guys, we're going to move into, we talk about restaurants all the time, but don't forget our friends at bars. Let's think of Don Mixed Drinks. Has anybody here been to Don's Mixed Drinks?
It's right down the road.
Yeah, I know.
You've been there. Okay. So think of Don's, right, when I talk to you about this.
That's where I took my tips class, actually.
That's where you took your tips
regarding over-serving folks and whatnot.
So in a very industry place, you'll catch industry folks there all the time. But here's what bars are up against, and I don't even know how you create a bar experience. So minimize objects touched by multiple patrons, in a bar, let's face it, you're trying to touch everything and everybody, right? I mean, that's the MO when you go into a bar. Like, how much can I touch?
I mean, no.
Well, that's me in a bar.
I was going to say that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard, man. I don't know. It reminds me of somebody. You're not trying to touch everything.
Trying to touch everything.
Are you?
Man.
Well, okay.
Get my touch sensory.
I don't know, Rebecca.
Right.
Does that sound normal to you, or am I crazy?
I don't know. It's a Greg comment, so I get what he's saying though. Is that
I know, yeah.
You put your hands on the counter, you're touching your drink, a
game, you're touching your beer, you're having a cigarette, you're hoping
a game, huh?
Yeah, get a little.
I mean, hey, listen, man.
It's not like I'm saying touch the nape of somebody's back, or I'm not saying I'm not saying that either. But
using the word nape is just bizarre in itself, man.
All right, so here's what they have to go through: remove or close games and dance floors that require or encourage standing around. Darts and pool tables and shuffleboards in arcade games must be removed.
I mean, what are you going to take out your pool table?
You're going to take. You're not going to play on it. You're not going to play on your shuffleboard.
It's like I understand that somebody wrote that down and they're like, well, pool table, get the pool tables out of there. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, I mean, that's not rational to any person in the world other than whoever wrote that, I mean, you're not going to remove your pool tables. I mean, you may put something on the top of them that says, hey, guess what? You can't use the pool table.
Steve, if this conversation hasn't made you feel very, very uncomfortable, we'll have you chime in on this topic.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So just going back to the bars, if I'm not reading it incorrectly, I think all bars are still going to be closed to in-person patrons, other than like takeout delivery for food. So bar service right now, if it's just a bar, is closed, and that's at the top portion of those draft requirements.
How are they going to delineate that? I mean, I guess if you have the word bar in you, so I think of Kendra Anderson there, and we just talked to her from Bar Helix. She's got the word bar in her name, but she's got some food she's doing. And what's going to delineate a bar from a restaurant?
I don't know enough behind the licensing for liquor licensing. I don't know if there's like a percentage of food sales that you have to meet to be defined as a bar or a restaurant. Rebecca, do you know?
I don't right now. To be honest, that's a tough one because like you said, you've got Bar Helix, which she led us into a great segue for this conversation with her content, but then you have places, cocktail lounges like Hazel Art Bar, where they are serving food with the alcohol, but they are not a food establishment. I mean, how do you define that?
And how long can we let bars just hang? We got to get bars back at it as well.
Yeah, definitely. That they're part of this whole process and this whole community too. So there's other businesses too that are still waiting to open up as well. Hopefully we'll get some more clarification when they make the announcement next week in terms of final guidelines.
And I think it's probably exactly the road I was going down. What they're trying to do is lessen the amount of people going around wanting to touch everything and everybody.
I mean, listen, obviously, like the guidelines are designed to let restaurants open so they can start generating revenue, right? Because obviously this is at the point where you've seen the ones in Castle Rock, CC, and then Shooters, and is they're going to do it anyway eventually. Otherwise, they're all going out of business, right? So the government sits down and the mayor goes, okay, we have to let them open to some capacity. So they create guidelines that, in theory, it's designed so you can open, generate some revenue so you don't go under. But at the same time, we don't need another outbreak of coronavirus. So, I mean, God, it's such a. We should get Dr. William back on and ask him his opinion of opening at a smaller capacity because.
So we kind of went over the guideline of the space there. Now, here's what's going to be asked of customers if you guys have another couple minutes in you. The customers, consider providing an option for customers to sign in to the facility, notifying them if exposure occurs. I don't get that. Does anybody, is that just a tracking thing that you want every guest to sign in to know, okay, we can backtrack on who was here that particular night if there was an outbreak?
Yeah. So if you are made aware, your business, your restaurant is made aware of any employee that has been diagnosed with COVID or any guests that have been diagnosed with COVID, you have to report it to the health department. That's not a suggestion. That's not a recommendation. You have to do that. And as part of that, they need to track people down that were there during, I don't know, that day or maybe the day after, depending on how they're managing these cases. So having a sign-in just makes it a lot easier for that tracking to take place if you don't have a reservation system that you're using.
All very ethical and all very what you should do to be responsible businesses, but I can't help when we leave people at their own devices. And this is such a terrible analogy, but I think it's point on. This is like the responsible thing to do. You figure out you have a venereal disease. You need to call and contact and say, listen, this is where I'm at. You need to go get yourself checked. But how many people actually do it? How many people want the scarlet letter on them? How many people want to put their hand up and say, come in and shut my business down? Do you think that that's going to be a reasonable thing, Steve?
And Rebecca could probably talk more to this than I can. I'm thinking liability. So if you are following exactly what you're supposed to be doing with what the requirements say, and you end up having an outbreak with COVID, you call the health department right away. They get somebody in there. They put control measures into place. I think that will go a long way in terms of what liability you might have is other than like some other businesses have just decided to open without following any of the requirements, and then they get an outbreak, and now we have to try to connect with all these people that might have eaten there. It's a totally different ball game then. And Rebecca, you can add more to that.
Yeah, I can't really, there's certain things I can't speak to legally without having somebody who's a licensed HR professional truly speak to this. But that's why it's so critical to have your handbooks in place, processes, procedures on what happens if this happens, if you get a report, and then, having a partner like us to help share that liability, because if something comes up, we go in and investigate it. This disease could take up to 14 days to show. And so if you're claiming you got it from somewhere, it may not have been from there. It may not have infected anybody there. I mean, we just don't know. It's going to be very hard to prove, but that's why it's really critical to have, even if you're not going with HotSchedules powered by Fourth, have somebody review your handbooks. Make sure they're up to date with everything that's going on with regulations from your local jurisdiction. And that's really the best advice I can give. There's just not a good answer that I can provide right now.
Did you like my venereal disease kind of correlation?
That was beautiful. Steve, welcome to the Modern Eater family.
just great. Right. Asking again, saying the word. Just venereal. It's just fun to say.
Anybody missed it? Yeah.
All right. So this is the future coming up right here, and provide contactless payment options. And then also talking about menus and other touch points, but lessening touch points is going to be very, very big, right, Steve?
Yeah, anywhere, like I mentioned when we started, anywhere where you can reduce or eliminate the spread of COVID, then you don't have to worry about those controls as much. If you're doing contactless payment, all you have to do is wipe down the machine that you're using for the credit card. You have the customer hold it instead. And then you wash your hands after, and that's a pretty easy control.
I say we make just plastic cubes like they smoke in airports with, and just put people in cubes, and we're kind of, but you're alone, but you're in a cube, and there you go. Everybody,
like one of those hamster bubbles.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
I'm on board.
All right,
for
one
that.
last one for you guys, and this is where it's going to get interesting. Request facial coverings are worn by customers. Have you seen what some people are doing out there? Say, I'm not going to wear, and they drag them out of the store, and you're not allowed to shop at our store. And they're like, I'm an American. I woke up in a free country, and you know, it's an interesting thing of people with the masks, right, and the gloves. But request facial coverings are worn by customers. So again, request worn by customers when not eating and drinking, i.e., walking past other tables to get their delivery or consider. And here's one for you, Jay. You'll love this one. Consider refusing service to customers who refuse to adhere to hygiene and social distancing guidelines. They're basically saying, kick their asses out.
Yeah, I mean, I like to, when I manage restaurants, I like to just kick out every fifth person I come in contact with just to stay ahead of the curve.
Keep them on their toes.
I was a smart manager.
And then it says on the back end of this thing, make accommodations for individuals unable to adhere to hygiene and social distancing requirements such as takeout or, and so basically it's like, okay, you know, we want your business, we love you. I respect that you don't want to wear a mask. Can I get something for you to go?
Yeah. I mean, listen, you know, honestly, that's like a conversation you're having with a guest that you have to cut off from booze, right? And they disagree with you. And so they'll teach you certain methods in your tips classes that you're supposed to use where it's like, offer them something to eat, you know, offer them a cup of coffee. It's like, man, a drunk person that wants more booze, there's nothing else in the world that they want other than more booze. And me trying to say, can I have a cup? I mean, it'll be the same thing with that. Where
guys, is it worth the liability of bending the rules at all? I mean, you've got to stay strong, right? With whatever you say, this is what our establishment is going to do. Everybody's got to be trained as though that there's no difference at all. Every customer gets treated the same, and you stick with those guidelines, I would imagine.
Yeah, and that's where you come up with the acknowledgments through your handbook so that everyone's on the same page. You know, it's interesting that you brought that up, Greg, because I literally an hour ago was reading an article where here in Colorado, somebody was shot at a Waffle House because they refused service to somebody who wouldn't wear a mask. And I can shoot that article to you guys. It's crazy. I know somebody who was kicked out of Home Depot the other day for not wearing a mask. I mean, I do it out of respect for everybody else. I feel fine. I haven't been sick. That doesn't mean I'm not a carrier. It's just at this time I feel, and there's a controversy on it. Trust me, we all know this. But, you know, you have the right to refuse service at the end of the day with restaurants, but ensure that you are trained and training your employees specifically on how to handle these issues because they are going to flare up as this thing continues.
Yeah, and people, you know, expect if you're going to go out to a restaurant that they're going to ask you to wear a mask. If you have a problem with that and you go anyway, I think you're probably looking for something. For sure. So,
pandemic or no pandemic, man, if somebody's got a rule, you know, and that's their rule. If you don't like it, great. Buy your own restaurant. If you don't like Home Depot makes you wear a mask, then buy your own Home Depot, and they don't have to wear a mask.
It's like no shoes, no shirt, no service. You know,
right?
That's it. Right. Guys, any final words?
You know, we will be posting out our webinar from today. If you have a moment, check it out. Steve and I are going to be collaborating on kind of like what Jason Wange does, but maybe not as daily, but as things come up, rules, regulations, tips. So if you have content that you want to learn about, things you want to know with safety, sanitation, HR needs, contact either of us. You can reach me at rebecca.berry@forth.com. And Steve?
I'm developing a planning tool right now for reopening. Once the final guidelines get posted from the state, I'll update that and release it. That restaurants can just plug in their own information, have a set plan to move forward from, so it doesn't take as much time on the front end. And you can Google my business, just Cloudbreak Environmental, that'll pop right up. And otherwise, Rebecca can reach out to me too.
Cool. And it's Steve Chevalier. Did I say that correctly?
Yep.
Oh, God, I didn't think so.
Chevalier, man.
I'm impressed because I've been struggling with it.
Hey, it rolls off my tongue, man. That's a beautiful name, Steve. I don't want anybody to tell you different.
What's the most common way to mispronounce your name?
Chevalier?
Yep.
Chevalier, yeah, I could see.
Yeah, but that's the American way that you do it. Not everybody speaks French, so it's
USA.
Yeah, America.
Rebecca, thank you as always.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll catch up with you soon. Steve and Rebecca, you're doing great things and just guiding folks. Do you have questions? Yeah, reach out to these guys. That'll be fantastic. Okay, coming up on the stream, I think Jay's going to probably fire off a commercial here.
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Give me, I just need a couple seconds because of certain things
Really?
that are. Well, it's not an instantaneous thing.
Hey, did you know my mom bought some Rome sausage?
It's delicious.
And let's see. Chris from Rome's came up, or he texted me yesterday. I'm trying to find his text. Here's what he said to me. Yo, your mom is after my sausage.
That's pretty good.
Hey,
That's
why
pretty
not?
good.
Standing by is Rich O'Brien. I call him Daddy O. I don't know if he likes that or even knows that yet, but Daddy O. Okay, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, okay.
Hey there, Barbecue All-Star. This is your year, so what if you weren't drafted? The only draft you need to be worried about is actually spelled D-R-A-U-G-H-T, and it's adult for the word beer. It's barbecue season, baby. Now get out there and grill your ass off.
There you go.
All right, and that's the Spice Guy.
Yeah.
Rebecca, I've been trying to. Rebecca's still there. Hang
Yeah.
up, girls.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. But you were going to put together a 30-second or 1-minute commercial for HotSchedules. I still haven't seen that in my email yet. Can you make one of those?
You know
for
why,
me?
Greg? Because I've been busy serving the community, getting information out. But I actually was thinking about it today, and I have a plan, and I will have it to you. So it took me a minute, but actually chatting with Steve today helped. So I'll have that to you.
Okay, thank you. Would love to run that tomorrow. All right, Daddy O, Rich O'Brien, Elevation Foodservice Reps. First of all, do you mind that I call you Daddy O?
No, man. As long as you don't call me late for dinner.
I would never do that. Good to see your face. Yesterday, the stream died. We're hoping that it has nothing to do with us and this relationship. We're gonna.
I would hope not. No. I mean, you said I broke it.
I don't know whether you broke it or not. That's why our fingers and toes are crossed today.
He didn't, man. It's just it's
internet, man.
Rich, I'm like, you remember the movie Powder with that dude? And anytime
Yes.
he got around any TV, it would just short out and go crazy. I have a mini Powder thing to where when I get around technology or try to figure it out, it's me.
He's not lying at all. Rich, talk about Elevation Foodservice Reps, what you do there, and then let's dig in because we've got some important stuff to cover.
Yeah, you got it. So we are manufacturers' representatives, factory brokers for food service equipment and supplies, furniture, tabletop for the Rocky Mountain region. So really, if you've got a building and you want a restaurant, we can outfit it for you. And
yes, you can. We've toured the facility. We know what you're capable of doing, but you work with a lot of brands. Go through the laundry list of folks that you represent.
Well, you know what? What I should do is probably have you guys upload I'll upload the line card for you. But our main manufacturer, and really the one that we started the company with 10 years ago, was Canberra Manufacturing, based in Southern California. And I think most of the people in the industry know what Canberra is known for their plastics products and their systems and their shelving, mobile delivery carts, catering items. We also represent the Middleby brands, Middleby is the largest commercial food service equipment conglomerate in the world. I mean, they represent South Bend and Pitco and Blodgett and Follett and Turbo Chef. And, we could go on down the line with those guys as well. And we also represent some independent manufacturers like Steelite and Glass Tender, along with Bally Walk-ins. So we also represent some furniture and serving lines, John Boo's Butcher Blocks, which I know a lot of chefs are very familiar with as well. John Boo's also does stainless steel. So we just got a really nice group of best-in-class brands. We're really proud of the group of factories we get to represent.
You really do. And how did Canberra did such a wonderful job of branding themselves? It's like Q-Tip and Kleenex. It's just synonymous with what they do. Cambro is a great brand, and you're going to actually show us some stuff with Cambro. As you're starting to absorb too of what restaurants are going to be faced, and as they want to expand to parking lot and curb service with dine-in, there's certain things that you're identifying that's like, hey, I'm going to throw this out there. You might need these things, so I just want to throw it over to you and take it away, Rich.
Yeah, that'd be great. A couple of things I do want to, well, if I could give Rebecca a shout out, Rebecca Berry again, we need to have a big party for her when this is all said and done. I mean, honestly, who's really done more during this than I'm really proud of her. I'm proud to even say she's a friend. So anyways, that's a shout out for Rebecca. The other thing is I really think we need to get as much feedback as we can from the restaurateurs. As I'm listening to you guys, we're talking about even, people can be refused service, which is, yes, that is the right of a business owner to do that. But you bring up a couple of things as far as people, wanting to make sure that if you're not eating, you have a face covering on, because if you're going to be bringing my plate by, I don't want to have any issues. So I think in our industry, we know that it really is about comfort. And we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable in the environment that they're in. I think, we're all Americans thing that also kind of gets back to letting people make choices about wanting to go out and be with people. So as soon as we can make everything as comfortable as possible, and again, I don't have all the answers. I think somebody like Canberra, they're a system seller, and they constantly come out with new ideas. And really with what they've been doing with curbside delivery, to-go bags, store safe, making sure that, we are handling foods properly. It's almost like they had a crystal ball, and that seems real typical of those guys. Middleby's the same way with a lot of the things that they were doing with ventless cooking and the ability to, really move things out of a standard kitchen for preparation and the ability to do that. So with that, I will get up here, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to switch the camera, if that's okay with you guys, just kind of walk through my facility and just show you a couple items I think that we've got that might interest people as we move forward to the outdoor serving and mobility and things like that. So if that's cool with you guys, awesome. I'll do that, right?
Yeah, this is a treat. Here we go.
Right now, and let's see, make sure I got this working. Okay, there we go. So there's a go bag right there, but walk out of my office and
listen, Rich, if somebody's watching and they've never
that's Catherine. Catherine's a partner in the company, so just say she keeps me in line.
Hi, Catherine.
She shakes her head and says, "Don't do that."
You got quite the job, Catherine.
So, hey, one thing though that I think we're really one of the things that we really want to make sure people know about is hand washing, right? And this guy arrived here today, and this is a Canberra mobile hand washing station.
No, it is not. That is so cool.
So this guy just, he wheels back and forth. What we do with this in the morning, we wheel it out front here. So when anybody arrives, what they do is they come in, they wash their hands, and just gives a little bit of feeling. It's a pretty simple unit. Look on the inside, you have your storage and your waste containers. And if you want to plug it in, you can, and it'll heat the water up for you.
Wow.
But you don't have to do that. Okay. It doesn't actually have to be. It will work. So that's something that we're seeing a lot of, especially as we move to parking lots and we move out to sidewalks, because the restaurants want the servers to be constantly washing their hands, but also the customers. Mm-hmm. So, in order to have this, it's very mobile. You wheel it in and out each day, and it's very reasonably priced too. So that's something that I think people should really take a look at. If any of you guys have been to Chick-fil-A, I'm sure that you see the line is terribly long, and they've got all these outside of the drive-ins or drive-thrus so that people are able to wash their hands and be sanitary. The other thing as we kind of come through here, and I'll walk in here as well, to answer that question about how are we going to protect customers from, somebody's walking by. I think one thing we're going to be seeing a lot of are plate covers. Mm-hmm. The elegance of plate covers, whether they're metal, we've got some clear ones here to where you can actually see through. You can see the food, you can see the product. We've got a lot of compartment trays. As you see here, these are all clear as well. And I think we're probably going to see a lot of melamine. I mean, that's melamine right there. So that's a basic plastic. And what we're finding is it looks like people are going to plate their food. They're going to take a cover. They're going to set it in an EPP like this. And you guys have seen that EPP. You know how lightweight it is. It's also a great thermal piece. And then we're going to set the lid on top of that, and then you can just easily carry it out.
to wherever the table is or however far it is.
Yeah.
Now, some of these guys are going to be in parking lots pretty far away from the restaurant, so they may need something more mobile. They may need something more heavy duty, or they may just need like our ultimate sheet pan rack.
Wow.
And a lot of things we may see is, multiple tables being put on here with their plate covers.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing too, Cambro.
Hang on real quick. I don't know about you guys, but just the optics and I don't know how much that's going to keep coronavirus out. Probably zero. That's what we're dealing with. But having a plate cover for me, that seems to make me feel really good.
Oh yeah. I mean, oh yeah.
Well, and there's a certain elegance to it too. When you bring this plate out, set it on the table, and lift off.
Boom! I'm ready for that. See,
yeah.
I
think we all are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and again, we've got the heavier duty units. Cambro has always been known for these mobile catering carts. Because again, we've got to remember, one of the things we want to make sure we do is we want to make sure we keep everything at a safe temperature. We also have our EPP drink carriers. If you guys see this right here, what's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, what's cool about this is you can put those drinks in there, and the ice won't melt. It stays nice and cold or hot, depending on what you want. And then these carriers fit right down inside that box there. Now, the cool thing in the EPP box, the cool thing is we can put these together like a puzzle. See?
Oh, whoa!
Yeah, so we can separate those, so you can make it as big or as small as you need to. And again, you can put some lids over the top. Again, I think the optics are what make people most comfortable. And then, of course, we've got different colors that we can do for the lid. So, let's say one's for drinks, one's for, food, one's for appetizers. We also have what we call our single-handled high-heat pan. And a lot of times what these are used for, if you see these, they normally will go into a heated cabinet, and it might have some food in there. What Cambro is going to do is they're going to make these in a clear plastic, and people can start using them. I mean, I think this will give you a good idea. Here's your check, right? Here's your check. Here are your utensils. Here are your condiments. And then it becomes that touchless that we've all been talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh man, Rich, you're covering it for us.
And Rich, you can attest to this, and in my restaurant experience, I've done a handful of catering and outside events and everything like that. And if you're somebody who, I think it's normal to have the thought, I don't really need that apparatus to do what I'm going to do. I can figure it out just with the things I have. And if you do it with the things you have and you break your back and you go crazy, and then you do it with the stuff that Rich is showing you he offers, it will blow your mind at how much easier, how much more efficient, and how much it just helps your life. So,
yeah.
If you think you're going to put everything on a big cookie sheet, and take it out to your table because that's cheaper and I already have a cookie sheet, it's like, man, you're just signing up for your own death.
Well, and one of the other things, and thanks for that, Jay, because, we feel that way. And, it's pretty difficult for manufacturers to come out with product-specific products, much less within a couple of weeks period of time. So I think a lot of people are looking for the feedback from from the operators at the manufacturing level to say, hey, what is it you guys are going to struggle with in doing this? And then also taking some of the products we've already got and implementing them into what's happening out in the parking lot delivery. I mean, I think I'll show you guys something here real quick from our shelving. The Cambro shelving, we got these divider bars here. And what the divider bars are used for, at least in our kitchen, is to separate utensils and to just be a little bit more organized. Now, the great thing about Cambro shelving is it's infallible. It has a lifetime warranty against rust and corrosion, so you never replace that capital cost as long as you own your restaurant. But what people are starting to do is take those divider bars, and they're starting to drop things. Instead of, say, tongs in here, we're going to put sugar. Or we're going to put, maybe utensils or napkins. And then that way they can wheel an entire service station out to the outdoors, so they don't have to run back and forth between the kitchen and the people out in the parking lot. So it's going to really help with time and efficiencies. And I think right now, one thing our restaurateurs need is they need efficiency.
Absolutely. So the couple of things that we're looking for right now, Rich O'Brien from Elevation Foodservice Reps. Number one is feedback. Would love to get some feedback from folks of like, what is it that you're looking for? What are your needs right now? What's in your mind? And so we want your feedback as well as your partnership. So if folks want to partner with you, Rich, it's an easy way, I say, to go to the website is the first stop, right? Give out the website address, would you?
It's elevationfs.com. So it's ELE.
Yeah, there we go. I love it. It's right below. It's right below you, brother.
Elevation FS is in food service. And also, anybody, we're over in the Park Hill area. A lot of your restaurateurs know where Polidori Sausage is. We're just a few doors down from those guys. Come over to our place. Come check it out. 4925 East 38th Avenue. We're happy to let you try out some of the products. I think it's really important for people to kick the tires. Make sure that what this is going to do is accomplish things for you that are going to make it be a win. I'm an efficiency maven. I want efficiencies. I want to get the most out of what we're doing. And I want people to come try stuff.
I got an idea.
Okay.
Do I hear it?
Of course.
I got an
Daddy-o
idea.
here.
You want to hear
Come
it?
on.
No.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, never mind.
Let's find somebody that we can use as a testimony or an example. Let's find one restaurant to work with Rich and as a gimme, just to get going, to show here are the right, Rich. Am I onto the right track with this?
You're on the right track. I'm way into that.
Let's
Absolutely.
get a test case, and I'm actually thinking about like Andrea Frizzi at Il Posto. I think that would be cool because he's an innovative guy. He's very smart. He's decisive. He knows what he wants to have. I think if we worked with somebody like Andrea with Rich to show, okay, here's how we can make your life better, that Andrea would be a good guy. But we'll take suggestions. Anybody else, if you want to be a test subject, let us know.
Well, and I think we've also got some great to-go items. Again, Cambro's got the ProCard Ultra, which is hot or cold cavity within one unit. Carter Hoffman has a really cool pickup cabinet, which basically works off a QAR. So if you order to go and you walk into the restaurant, you put your QAR up there, it flips the door down, and your food's there, and out you go. And I'm actually going to talk with George Eater about that piece.
Maybe that's our guy. That's our guy. Yeah. We need to have a test subject because if we can show people all the cool things that's going to help you run efficiently and make your service easier and better, I think that when people see that, they're going to be like, I need to get in on that. Okay, that's our mission. We're in on it. I'll get a hold of George soon. Okay, I owe you a phone call. I'll call you after the show. That's Rich O'Brien.
Thanks, pal.
Elevation.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
See you, Larry. Hey, good to see you, Larry.
Larry Herz standing by here, and thanks for joining us on the stream today. It just came down the pipe yesterday, the reopening guidelines and what that looks like. So many things, and I think we'll cover it with Larry Herz as we welcome Larry right now. Where are you at, Larry? You at home?
I'm at a secret location, and I will tell you a little bit more. I can't tell you where I'm at or who's here.
Wait, that's a fake background.
Is it?
No. Oh, shoot, it's not. All right.
I know. I saw what you saw. There's something.
There, you have like the Rocky Mountains on your head.
Yeah, there's something going on.
And in the back, yeah, it's a fake location, Larry. I am guaranteeing you this is fake.
I can tell you it's very real. And
so it's real, but there's something that you have on your...
You don't see what we see? Oh, man, if you could see what we see.
There's something on
You have red mountain peaks on your head.
Growing.
Oh, I sort of see it bouncing off something, maybe?
I don't know what that could possibly be. You have some sort of Zoom background.
There you go, I moved.
Okay, well, it looks worse. But
oh, no, I know what it is.
What is it?
Because normally I'm in the green room,
yeah.
So I use the mountain background.
Yeah.
So I got to get rid of that background.
I kind of like it this way. It makes you,
it's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
I can't be in the green room today. I am on location.
Can we start with closures, Larry? Old Chicago's on Colorado Boulevard calls it quits.
I don't really care about chains quitting.
There you go.
Old Chicago is started in Boulder, man. It's got Colorado
the whole
roots.
company's in bankruptcy.
I know. So what do you think the real deal on that is? Because they say that it has to do with landlord at lease negotiations, and it didn't happen. I think we're seeing a lot of struggling restaurants, right, want to go to their landlords and say, hey, listen, we need to renegotiate.
I've been there. I've tried to renegotiate it. They're not big on it, landlords, but I think they'll change their minds in the next few months when 20 to 30% of restaurants close and they have all these vacancies. They'd rather have you paying a 10 or 20% discounted rent than zero rent, because they're not gonna. It's gonna be a while before you. Who's gonna sign up to open a restaurant during this? Nobody I know.
Not too many people, that's for sure. And those folks that do want to sign up or they're going to wait until the smoke clears. And I think that you're absolutely right that things are going to at least be 10 to 20% less.
There'll be opportunities for the good operators. There's going to be cheap rents and cheap labor and turnkey restaurants, and that's how things go. There's always cyclical in the restaurant business. Right now, we were in I would say, the biggest boom we've ever had. It's arguable that there were too many restaurants.
Mm-hmm. This probably doesn't surprise too many people, but the Great American Beer Festival cancels its in-person Denver Fest and will become an online experience. I can't even imagine what that means or looks like.
I got to change subjects on you real quick because time's of the essence, right?
Yeah.
Is Doctor coming on soon?
No, it's all you to the top.
Oh, well, still, I have very interesting. I am at a location right now with about 60 restaurant owners. I don't know if you heard about this, but the word went out on Facebook yesterday to get together at this undisclosed location. I'm not going to say what owners are here, but it's an impressive amount of them. And the idea is they're talking about not waiting. They're talking about opening up, with sensible guidelines. And I walked out of the meeting, so I only heard the first.
Now, wait a minute. This is juicy as hell, Larry.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
This is juicy. Like, we should have led the show with this, Larry. This is really juicy.
I texted Jay that this was big news.
You checked 10 seconds ago. He's gonna yell at me and be like, if he texted you, why didn't we do it at the top?
And this is big news. So, Larry, can I ask you some questions? And you can.
I can only do a little bit because privacy. I'm not going to narc on people.
Are there owner operators that are names that we would know?
Absolutely.
And they are in person in a location?
Yes.
In person, and you're at that location now.
Yes, I got a text from somebody at 1:30 saying I needed to be here by 2:30. So I got here, and
okay. So Larry, I have to imagine because the governor spoke, I believe, privately with restaurateurs today on a Zoom call.
I was actually on that call, and then
was there anything on that call that would throw up a red flag for folks to want to mobilize immediately? Please catch me up because I've been broadcasting and I need to dig in after the show.
So the governor's thing he was all right. It was weird. He was broadcasting from his car as he was driving, cutting in and out, and people were able to ask questions. Craig Carboy, he got on, asked questions. I heard a few questions. People were definitely wanting to know if you have a brewery or distillery or winery, what are the rules for you? And, Polis basically said if you look like a restaurant, smell like a restaurant, you can be treated like a restaurant. But obviously the rules aren't official. This is, this was the Q&A part. The rules will become official Saturday, he said, Polis. So I'm sure
everybody wants a date, Larry. It's just a guessing game, and the guessing game was the first would be.
He's still saying he was basically still saying the first, but he was saying and the first is a Monday.
Yep,
Monday. And the only thing he was like, oh, you probably don't want to open on a Monday. It'll take you a few days to open. It's like, no, if you're going to tell them it's the first, then they'll start working on it today and have everything in place, following your rules by Monday. So let's say he makes the rules official the 23rd. The 23rd
okay.
is when he said the rules.
Saturday.
Official. And then it gives you a week to open, so you could open on the 1st theoretically.
So what's wrong with that? Why would that call it an emergency meeting?
I can only speculate as to why everybody's here.
Yeah.
And what this meeting is, but I think it has to do with Memorial Day weekend, and people are like, I want to open, and
this
I'm going
weekend
to open.
for this weekend.
And I believe this for quite some time now, that people doing it on their own, like Water's Edge did and CNC, was never going to hold the weight of power and numbers, which I talk about all the time.
Yeah.
If 50 or 60 people who are right outside this room right now, if they get together and open tomorrow following the proposed guidelines, first of all, nothing has happened to the restaurants that have opened. You know that, right?
Yes.
Nothing's happened to Water's Edge. Nothing's happened to Shooters. Nothing's happened to CNC.
Well, there was a story that Shooters got their business license suspended.
Zero. The lawyer here who's representing all of them, said no fines.
So they have Randy Corcoran in there right now.
I'm not going to name names.
Well, I mean that's public.
He may or may not be here.
Okay, well he's a certain flavor that I don't know that a lot of the restaurateurs that I know would be able to handle.
I agree with that. I would say that the restaurant owners here, I would guess, are ones that like him and his style. His
Gotcha.
politics. So
the folks from CNC are there?
I'm not going to say who's here because it's not my right to say.
Gotcha.
And but he did say, he said Water's Edge was got 5 days of business. We're only shut down for 1 day. Got their license back, and as long as they follow the rules, they could be open.
So when you're saying the air quote rules and that these restaurant owners are thinking about
guidelines.
Just opening,
yeah.
It's adhering to said guidelines, 8 feet apart, tables, this and that. But basically, it's just cutting out. We're waiting for the deadline.
This seems to me like they're taking the Mother's Day weekend, right? You had a couple of people, and I think that initiative, they wanted more businesses to come out, and I think it was a swing and a miss. What I'm seeing right now with Larry is there's probably a more concerted, organized effort to have more than 2 people come out and swing and miss.
Sure.
That there'll be 60 businesses, which will probably, if you flesh it out, be 15 or 10. Out of there. But this weekend, Larry, and I really appreciate it because I know news cycles and what's going to happen is anticipate this Memorial weekend for more restaurants than 1 or 2 to open up, and they will be making the headlines of how this happens.
Channel 7 tried to get in here. They were blocked at the gate.
There's a gate. No, that's good information, Larry, and I think that's not that we wouldn't expect that. I think that there probably would be those types of things, but I don't know what that 1 week is going to do for anybody except for put them in a marketing position to have some headlines right now.
I mean, if you're a smaller restaurant and you're somebody that's been just hanging on by the skin of your teeth in a huge restaurant weekend like that, and it's almost like a money grab, but not in a selfish way, right? But it's like they see that those dollars that they could make over that weekend could actually pay 3 months of back mortgage, right? Or 3 months of back bills, and restaurant owners are looking at it going like, we have to do this.
How about more importantly, which I heard one of these people say, well, I guess it kind of might give it away. So their servers, when they were open, made a lot of money and were able to pay their mortgages and their rents. And that's what most of these people are trying to help their employees. And this would be a big weekend financially for their employees who are definitely hurting for money.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, I looked back and viewership from those days that we talked about CNC, that we went to Calhoun, Colorado, and had on the omelet place,
Western
Omelet 3, and we had on the folks Stephanie and Karen, that people were interested beyond belief about folks that were opening up their restaurants at their own devices.
I tell you, I would love, but I won't do it, to walk outside this room and be a fly on the wall listening in to what they're saying right now.
Are you not allowed out there? Is that why you're with us?
No, I was out there. I left because it was time to come on with you guys.
Well, we appreciate that.
So you're on the inside. So, okay, you're going to hang up with us, and when you hang up with us, what are you there just for information, or what's your purpose served there?
That's a good question.
I'll bet you work with one of these restaurants.
It probably works with a lot of them.
I can't see anybody like George Eater
works with everybody.
or Jason McGovern not waiting another week just to wait, to do it right with the folks that are. I can't see anybody that we know that
obviously off air. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
who's here?
I think I know who's there. I mean, I think I know.
You think
who's
you
there.
know everything?
Yeah,
you
I
think
do.
you know. Well, I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know a lot.
And hey, listen, there may be some operators and restaurateurs that were called to this that will choose not to, but wanted to hear them out, right?
Yeah.
Let's hear them out.
Yeah.
I will tell you that there's no masks out there and there's no social distancing.
I mean, this is a sticky. Real sticky.
No, I know who these
time.
guys are, and listen, I respect to a lot of them, but the sentiment is, I woke up in America today. I'm going to continue to go with my liberties and my rights, and a lot of them are veterans. They really are that serve this country.
I will tell you that it does look blue collar out there.
Yeah.
It does look.
I mean, it's half and half from what I've seen from my perspective, where it's like half of it is like, listen, man, I want to open because I'm going to go under and I need to pay my bills and so on. And then the other half is like, I'm an American and I have rights and I want to open, sprinkled with I can't pay my bills.
If you've seen any of the footage or coverage of some of the rallies, the downtown reopen rallies, just take a handful of those people and put them in a room, and I think that's what you're probably looking at in there. So, basically what we're going to see is some folks going rogue over this Memorial weekend, and they're going to say, hey, listen, we called your bluff the first time around. Nothing happened to us. If we have more folks joining us, even more nothing's going to happen to us. Except the worst that's going to happen is we're going to get some more money in our pockets, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they do it in a safe way, I don't think public sentiment will be against them.
Well, when you saw the CNC video out there, there was nothing safe about that.
That's what I'm saying. And when I say sticky, I mean, I don't mean this. I mean, I think that this particular meeting of the minds is sticky also. But I just think it's a sticky time in life for everybody, right? And I know that's a broad statement, but specifically for the food and beverage world, to where you do want to, like, if there's another corona outbreak. Right, I mean, can you imagine what that would, if that actually happens?
It'll do another.
Right? So it's like, I'm all for the notion of opening with these guidelines if they're followed at least to 80%. I mean, I think if you follow, if there's a restaurant that follows the guidelines to 80%, I'm good with that. But that's are they going to do it? Are all the restaurants actually going to follow those guidelines to the fullest or to a percentage you're comfortable with?
All right. What's for lunch?
Jay, have you ever cooked in a restaurant?
Many years.
Okay. You know how brutally hot it is in the summer, especially.
Yeah.
Could you imagine wearing a mask?
No, not a chance in hell.
Happen.
Not a chance in
Never
hell.
Never
going
to happen.
No, and that's what I mean. And here's the thing, though. Honestly, right? But I tell this in front of my mom, a judge, and whatever God you believe in, is I'm comfortable with the fact that the guys in the kitchen, the cooks, aren't wearing masks and aren't wearing gloves when they're cooking. I mean, I just am, because I'm a realist, and gloves are a joke anyway, right? I mean, I think we can all agree on that. I mean, come on. So it's like, but here's the thing, though. I don't want somebody sick back there, of course, right? Nobody does. So it's like, as long as management and the restaurant ownership are doing their due diligence in the way of like, listen, man, if you're sick, you're not coming into work. If you're coming now, then there's the argument that the doctor, God, I'm sorry, I've had a lot of caffeine.
All right.
You heard that they're part of the guidelines is they have to take temperatures of their servers.
Yeah.
Of their employees.
Yeah. And if they're doing
fine.
Everything is optics right now. Political correctness and optics. And truly, the unseen eminence, this COVID-19.
I try and be politically correct.
Okay, Larry, what's for lunch? Cronelli's. You didn't have one today, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I sent you today's.
Okay, this was today's Cronelli's?
No, yesterday was Cronelli. Today
All right,
was
that's what you sent me, homeboy.
Really?
Yeah. And then I looked on OCN Eats for today's, and I came up with Cronelli.
Well, let's do Cronelli since I wasn't on yesterday.
Yeah, let's do Cronelli.
And then I did send you a restaurant tours because that restaurant reopens tomorrow.
Oh, cool. So this Cronelli's one, if the beginning, middle, or end, where would you suggest I give a little taste?
The end, towards the end is always better because that's when we talk about the food.
Okay. So I'm going to head into, it's about 10 minutes long. These happen every single day. It's what's for lunch. If you're a restaurant out there and like to get on Larry's list, you can easily just DM him on Instagram as your prep.
Free.
What? It's free. Yeah. Well, it costs you a lunch. But here's today. What's for lunch?
Available to the public. Isn't he in Lakewood, I think?
He's in Lakewood.
Yeah.
He has his own shop. You can get desserts. You can get meats, cheeses, everything.
That's old school, that place.
That is so old school. Absolutely old school, yes. Anyways, but yeah, so this is my creation. So I thought I'd like to give myself a little something in here. But this is what I always made for the kiddos at home. I would make it panini style, but we make it this style with the bread that's local. We get it delivered 3 days a week.
From where?
And that salami sandwich with the spicy aioli right there. Oh my gosh, with sriracha.
Oh,
it's ridiculous. So, lastly, I will bring up Carmine's again because the cream that's inside of these shells are from them, and it's wonderful. And we don't pre-fill these. We fill these when they are ordered.
Yeah.
What?
Food looks delicious. First of all, where's that at, Cronelli's?
Cronelli's on Park Meadows Drive, right behind my house in Lone Tree. I think I know Italian food. Being a New Yorker and having an Italian restaurant that's pretty well regarded. It's legit. The lasagna, the chicken parm, the pizza, the calzones, the garlic knots. Lucinda's work in the dining room. She's one of the owners with her husband, Jimmy. Jimmy is in the kitchen. A little 60-seat maybe place. Always packed. Great people. Great for the community. That's my go-to Italian place in Lone Tree.
And one thing I did watch yesterday, I watched it live actually. One thing that struck me, and she was very proud of it, and as well she should be, she retained all of her staff during COVID-19.
Yeah. I from what I understand, their business is maybe better than ever. People have they like Italian food works to go.
All right, this is Restaurant Tours. This is one of my favorites. I like the What's for Lunch, but I really love the production.
Let me set this up real quick.
Yeah, it's season 2, episode 2.
Yeah, so Owl Bear is a little hole in the wall. If you haven't been in Rhino, you wait online. First come, first serve. They run out of food. They're only open a couple of days a week. They had shut down since March, 15th? And they're finally reopening starting Friday. You have to pre-order your meals. You cannot wait online. And they'll be open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Show them Owl Bear. It's great. This week on Restaurant Tours on OCN Eats, we're headed to Rhino. We're going to try some barbecue at Owl Bear. I would like some ribs, some mac and cheese, some pulled pork. We're at Owl Bear here in Rhino. Owl Bear does Austin-style barbecue. I'm a New Yorker, not an expert on barbecue, but my friends from Austin tell me this is legit barbecue. So I'm here to try it. This Rhino neighborhood, a lot of things going on around here. We got dispensaries, breweries, cool hip restaurants. It's a newer neighborhood to the scene here in Denver. And I got a plethora of food in front of me here. I got brisket, I got ribs, I got mac and cheese, coleslaw, potato salad. First time, I'm gonna try it all. Let's eat. I think I understand Austin barbecue now. Got a nice dry rub on it. The meat's juicy, tender, falling right off the bone. Doesn't even need any sauce. I'm here with the owner, Carl. Carl, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me. The barbecue's been amazing. Tell me about where the name, where you got the idea, the whole story. I want to hear it all.
All right, that's where we pause because if you're not drawn in at that point, I don't know what else to do for you. But Owlbear, and this is Restaurant Tours, restaurant spelt out, and then tours spelt out. It's a good play on words, but look that up on YouTube. We got a great YouTube channel. That's on your OCN, our community now.
You're starting to get it all. You got me down now.
Getting it good, man.
What's with you just showing from your chin up on that camera, man?
You right now? Or?
Yeah. God, I'm trying to put your website and everything, and it's going right across your mouth.
Okay, Larry, I know you got to get I know you got to get back to it. Can I give you a homework assignment? I mean, I would really love for you to get in Randy Corcoran's ear and see if we can get him on the show tomorrow. Could you put that request in, and or anybody who's outspoken that says, hey, listen, and Hewlin's going to be like, F those guys. She came in here a couple of weeks ago. We've known Jennifer for quite some time. Give her a fair
share. She may not be here.
He's definitely there. But see if we can get, and listen, I'm not looking to give anybody a hot foot. I'll give somebody a fair shake. I thought I gave Jennifer a fair shake. She felt I was coming at her sideways. I went light on her, but I just want to hear their stories and where they're coming from. That's it. If you could put some feelers out there and launch it out there for somebody, I'd love to see what would come back.
As long as I finally get credit as the show booker.
You already have it.
Please.
And then before we let you go, I want you to talk about Panino Republica, if you would, for a second.
I would. I'm glad you brought that up. So Panino Republica is again tomorrow. So he's doing it Wednesdays and Fridays at Pizza Republica, George Eater's place. He has one in downtown, but not doing the paninos. Paninos are only at the DCC location. You need to pre-order and prepay for them. He almost sold out on the first day. He only had 3 sandwiches left because he has to make a certain amount of bread anticipating. And he's 6 varieties, a caprese one, which is what it sounds like, a fungi, mushroom-based one. I've had one with mortadella. I think you had that one too, the mortadella and I think it was hot honey and mascarpone. Just 3 ingredients, and it was phenomenal. And then he's got like a meat lovers kind with 3 different kind of salumes. So available, and you have to reserve at a time, 11, 11:30, 12. That way not everybody's coming at once. And I've heard rumors that you can get takeout and eat it outside on his patio. I can't confirm or deny that, but I've heard some rumors about that.
And they're literally like as big as your head.
Yeah, it's
That's what we had that one day. Yeah.
Jay, did you finish your whole sandwich?
Oh, come on, dude. You have no idea who I am.
One last thing I want people to know about. It's from 5 to 7. It's the first day. We had her on yesterday. Her name's Gabby Reyes. She's organizing The Lot. It's called The Lot. It's a food truck court that's opening up today in Westminster. It's in the Westminster City Center. It's in the parking lot. And you can go there, and Westminster Shopping Center. You'll see it out there. It's at Sheridan Boulevard and West 92nd Avenue. Get your food there tonight. Support your local food trucks. They've really been off of the radar for a lot of folks right now, but trying to rally together again. It's the first night of it, 5 to 7 p.m. She's doing everything to give you an experience. She's got a mural artist out there that'll be painting while you're waiting for your order in your car. It's a brilliant idea. It's in a parking lot. All the physical and social distancing you could want. Food trucks, Larry.
I heard some applause out there, so they're still going.
Okay, you're going to get out there. So that's one last thing. Again, the Panino Republica, support that. We've had those sandwiches. Those are fantastic. And then lastly, I want to close out the poll that we put out there. It's going to close right now. Show poll results. Can a restaurant or bar offer an experience right now? The poll results 28 yes, 27 no. Split right down the middle.
Wow.
Make it 28-28 because I say no.
You say no.
Well,
28.
Hold on then. Before you run, why do you say no? Why do you think that a restaurant couldn't create an experience right now?
I mean, part of what is in the restaurant is the buzz in the restaurant. In a busy restaurant, think about when you're in a half-empty restaurant.
Yeah,
it's not that much. The energy is going to be way off with half the table seated, with your waiter in a mask and gloves, and I really don't see those restaurants even being half full.
Yeah, I'm leaning with Larry right now, although I want it to be a yes.
Of course I want it to be.
But my antenna's up. I'm going to be learning, and that's one of the things the Modern Eater is going to do in the coming weeks ahead. As restaurants reopen, we're going to be there to show what kind of experience we're having, good or bad.
You have somebody in the corner.
Thank you, Larry. Okay,
Thanks, Larry.
Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Larry Herz, boy, he gave us some juicy stuff right there. I hope he can get Randy Corcoran for us. He's an attorney, and he's representing a lot of these restaurants that will apparently be going rogue this Memorial Weekend. Thank you to Kendra Anderson, the Swirl Girl. She's from Bar Helix today, and her chef, Sam Braza. And Christine for making the drink for us. Rebecca Berry, as always, Steve Chevalier, and Rich O'Brien from Elevation Foodservice Reps, Larry Herz, and Jay Parker. Great work today. Again, as always, man, I know it's tough. This is not an easy thing to sit and hang out and talk to people.
Oh my God! It's it's
in an afternoon.
I know
this is like moving rocks around a jail yard.
I know.
It's totally so difficult.
It totally
you look like you're breaking a sweat over there. We better stop. Okay, we'll see you back here tomorrow. The Modern Eater continues 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday and 6 to 8 p.m. on Saturdays. Thank you for tuning in today. Obviously, like and share if you would. We love you. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. The Modern Eater Show continues.